Matthew Knies is a Toronto Maple Leaf. Minnesota just lost in the final of the Frozen Four, and Matt Knies now available to join Toronto. Freeman says the cap hit's around $925K. So I just wanted to make a quick reaction video. Knies, we've talked about it all year. I think at this point, we look at the rest of the season, the next couple of games. Obviously, they play Florida, Tampa, and Rangers. So hopefully Knies can get in on at least 2 of those games, and then we'll see how he looks. I think the interesting part of this lineup is Alex Kerfoot, and where will Kerfoot end up? I've seen some people put him on their 4th line. I think he probably ends up on that 3rd line if Nylander and Marner on those 2 top right wings. I've talked to my cousin Lucas, the co-host of the pod, and he has Nylander with Matthews and Marner with Tavares. I've seen certain circumstances where Marner and Nylander are together, but I feel like most people have seen the lineup recently and Marner, Nylander, Tavares together. It's looked exciting at times, but hasn't really worked. I think the only top 3 combo, I mean, outside of, we saw it back in like the bubble playoffs, I think, when it was like Tavares, Matthews, and Marner for a couple shifts or a line at one point. But I do think if you wanted to run Tavares, O'Reilly, Marner, that worked. I mean, O'Reilly got the Hattie against Buffalo. Like, we've seen that work, and we've seen it work in offensive zone faceoffs too. So they could go that route. But a safe lineup right now in terms of prediction would probably have Marner and Tavares together just because they want to get Tavares going. But you know what? They might revert back to the Marner, Matthews, and Bunting line. The only thing with that line is they weren't able to beat Tampa last year. So that's a concern there. But I do think in terms of Kerfoot, Lafferty, and Matt Knies, I think those 3 guys are battling for 2 spots, in my opinion. I think Kerfoot, they like Kerfoot a lot. And because Lafferty just scored the other night and got in the fight, Matt Knies probably is the man out right now if the playoffs were to start. So hypothetical lineup for the viewers watching, I would probably, in terms of knowing Sheldon Keefe, I would say he maybe goes back to that top line, even though it's maybe a safe option to say Marner goes with Tavares, but maybe at some point in the series, if it's Marner, Matthews, Bunting, then you could run the 2nd line potentially of Nylander, Tavares, Yarncrow, then a 3rd line of Kerfoot, O'Reilly, and potentially Achari, and then a 4th line of Lafferty, Kampf, and Aston Reese. Aston Reese has looked really good towards the end of the season. We know his defensive structure, and we know that he has the playoff experience. So if that's the forward lineup, no Matt Knies, but keep an eye on through the series. We know sometimes some of these late additions, I mean, we've seen in the playoffs before, but a guy like Knies, even if he was to get thrown on the 4th line, if a guy like Lafferty or Kerfoot is struggling in the playoffs, maybe game 1 or 2, you throw Knies in there in a bottom 6 role where there's not a lot of pressure. My one hot take, and I'll just put this out there, if Nylander and Tavares are not working and Knies is showing well in these last couple season games, maybe you do give him an opportunity in the top 6 for the forward group. Again, that's a lot of pressure for a guy that's, 20 years old at this point, hasn't played an NHL game as I'm making this video, so that would be a tough, it'd be a tough assignment. It would be a reach a little bit, but I do think Knies is an opportunity to crack this lineup. But as we've seen lately with Lafferty's performance, with Aston Reese, a couple performances, I do think if they like Kerfoot a lot, and Aston Reese has been buzzing, as I said, I think it'll be tough for Knies. But hey, he's signed, he's a Leaf, and I think everything he's done in Minnesota, Hobey Baker finalist. So I do want to finish the video with Knies and just say, you know what? Guy's 6'3", guy's going to keep growing into his frame. Shows a lot of skill sets, shows a lot of IQ. I think we've talked about his skating. His skating can improve, but I do think with the Leaf development staff, I think there's a lot to look forward with Matt Knies. So Leaf fans, be hyped. Playoffs are coming around the corner. We'll see if they can get past the 1st round. And yeah, we'll see if Knies cracks the lineup. Chat soon. Subscribe, like, comment. Check out the podcast. Peace.